But they did what they were supposed to do. So it doesn't mean they could have turned it on like this and played this well against some of that competition in the Big 12, but it was nice to see there's still something in there and something in some of these players that may or may not be back next year. It's going to be real interesting to see what they come up with. And I don't know about you, but I'm really I don't know what the word is, agitated probably, with just this whole college basketball scene right now. And I feel like I felt like about Kentucky when John Calipari first got there and it was the one and dones. And I remember teasing Kentucky fans towards the end of the season, hey, who's going to be on your team next year? Well, I don't know. This one's going to the NBA. This one's going this one. I have no idea who's going to be on the team. I'm fearful that pretty much every fan base is going to be going through that now because this is nuts. This is worse as far as player movement. And look, I'm glad the players are getting a chunk. I'm glad they're getting paid. But this portal and every year free transfers and all this, it's worse than Major League Baseball with the player movement. And it's like, how do you get attached to a team and really start to love a team the way we always, loved our college basketball teams, our college football teams, because you knew there were kids coming up that are freshmen and sophomores. Are they even going to be around to play 2 years, 3 years anymore? I don't know. But I'm fearful of that. And, here we are. We have no idea who's going to be back on this Bearcat team next year. And so if college basketball takes that road, and we're seeing it in the NCAA tournament where the best players go to the best money, of course, but does that make for great college basketball? We may never see a mid-major in an Elite Eight again. And look what's left standing in that NCAA tournament. A number one, a number one, a number one, and a number one. Go figure. So I'm really fearful for college basketball. And I know I've gone off on a tangent here off of a round basketball game. But this has bothered me a lot as this season started winding down. And then you see how many players are in the portal now? It's probably 1,500 or something. It's
at least
crazy. And I know it's been a lot before, but now I think we're really seeing in the way the NCAA tournament has unfolded. And, some mid-majors were able to win in the first round or whatever, the round of 64. But I don't know. A lot of the magic is going to leave this game if they're not careful. And I don't know what you do about it, but I think there's got to be a little bit of a commitment from players to stick around a couple years. Or they're going to have a real mess on their hands. Because I'll tell you what, I'm not interested in seeing a whole new roster every year. Now, this year, I might be a little interested in a whole new roster because of what happened this season. But if it's not going to get any better and you're going to be, plowing in 10 new players every season, I don't know that I'm going to be interested, man. It bothers me. And I know I sound like an old man yelling at the clouds, but I'm telling you, the interest is going to wane if mid-majors are stuck and they're not going to ever have a chance. Like, why would you support that? Why would I, continue buying season tickets for a product that there's, pretty much a guarantee you got no shot to go anywhere in the tournament? Do I make sense?
No, I think I've thought about this. I mean, the only way that I think that you fix that is at some point, I think the players are going to unionize the same as they have in the NBA and the NFL and the MLB, all of that. And I think that you're going to have contracts. You're going to have, if you're signing to play at the school, you're signing for 2 years, you're signing for 3 years, if you're going to do the 1 year thing, then at least in advance it's only 1 year. So I think that's probably the way that this thing's going to go, especially if they're now getting the revenue share and all of that. You're already pretty much at contract levels anyway, between the revenue share and the NIL deals. So now it's just going to be a matter of unionize up and start to get contracts to where you're here for. And I think some of the NIL deals you're signing for multiple years. So it's not, I think some schools are doing it. I think it's probably a much tougher sell for the mid-majors because they're going to continue to run into how do you keep a guy there, especially if they're good enough and you can't pay them enough, or if they have the opportunity to grow, are you holding that kid back? So it's probably a much tougher thing for people at the mid-major level. But I don't know. I think that's probably the direction that this thing goes, and gives everybody a little bit of what you're talking about with that continuity thing.
Well, I hope they figure it out because I'm fearful of what's going to happen. I mean, this wild, wild west thing is just it's ugly, and it's only going to get uglier. And it's just going to be one of those deals based on the model that's there right now. And you're right. I think it's going to evolve, and they'll get it figured out at some point. Because if they don't, it's just the rich get richer. And I know there are coaches out there right now, and I know this for a fact, and it's smart for them. But they're at some of these smaller Division I schools, and it's like, look, I got playing time for you. Prove yourself, and 1 year you're out of here and off to an NIL deal somewhere. And that's smart of them to sell it that way. But on the other hand, it's kind of sad too. It's not like you're getting your hands on a player to develop them other than short term and hope that they get a chance somewhere else. And it's just a whole weird deal. And I never thought kids should be stuck at a school, especially if a coach left. I never felt like that was right either. But yeah, they're going to have to come up with some kind of situation where, some guys who really like a school are like, yeah, I'll sign here 2 or 3 years, whatever. Maybe I'll sign for the whole 4. I don't know. But they're going to have to come up with something because I can handle one massive turnover roster change, and you get that sometimes with coaching changes anyway, or whatever else happens, conference changes, you name it. Cincinnati's been through it all. But you're going to have some of that, and I can swallow some of that every now and then. But if that's going to be a yearly thing, I'm out.
Well, we did see St. Francis announced that they're going to be dropping from Division I to Division III, kind of getting out of all of this mess.
Yeah, it's going to be out.
To your point, that it is a little difficult for some teams to try and stay relevant or to figure out how to wade in these waters, I guess.
Yeah, and I hate to say that there's probably too many Division I teams now, because if you've got the means and the desire, you should be able to aspire to that and maybe play in Division I. But maybe they tighten it up a little. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But like I said, if it's going to be this wild, wild west thing every year and complete roster turnover, they can stick that, because I'm just not in for it.